Welcome to our journey through tales of wonder and imagination. Tonight, we gather by the fireside to share stories of distant lands, quiet moments, and the gentle rhythms of life. Let us begin. When the sun begins to slip down beyond the edge of the world, the savanna changes. The golden grasses that stretched wide and endless all day long now glow softer, warmer, like honey held up to candlelight. The acacia trees stand quiet, their branches reaching into the sky, as if they're saying goodnight to the clouds drifting past. And the air grows gentler. It carries the scent of warm earth and dust and the far-off promise of water. This is the time when the savanna takes a breath, when the busy day slows down and the evening begins to settle in, like a soft blanket being pulled across the land. The birds are heading home now. You can hear them calling to one another, their voices high and bright, finding their way back to the trees where they'll tuck their heads beneath their wings. A herd of zebras stands together, quietly, their black and white stripes blending into the shadows and the light. They're not running anymore. They're just standing, breathing, being somewhere. In the distance, a lion yawns. Not a fierce roar, just a yawn. Because even lions grow sleepy when the sun goes down. The little ones tumble over each other, play fighting until their mother gives them a look. The kind of look that says, "It's time now, little ones. Time to rest." And they curl up close to her, their golden bodies warm against hers, their eyes beginning to drift shut. This is the hour when the savanna tells its stories. Not loud stories with thunder and running and roaring. No, these are the quiet stories, the gentle ones, the kind you hear when the world grows soft and still and safe. Tonight, as the first stars begin to appear one by one like tiny lanterns being lit across the sky, we're going to listen to three tales. Three animals, three gentle journeys, three small moments of wonder before sleep. The first story belongs to an elephant who remembers the rain. The second, to a meerkat who watches the stars. And the third, to a giraffe who hums a lullaby that travels farther than you might imagine. So settle in. Let the savanna wrap around you, warm and wide and peaceful. Feel the ground beneath you, solid and kind. Smell the evening air, carrying its quiet perfumes. And listen, because the stories are beginning now. The stars are coming out, one by one, and the animals of the savanna are finding their places to rest. Let's walk together, softly, into the first tale. In a quiet corner of the savanna, where the trees grow thick and ancient, there lived a young elephant named Naledi. Naledi's name meant star in the language of her herd, because she was born on a night when the sky was so clear, so full of light, that her grandmother said the stars themselves had come down to welcome her. Naledi loved her grandmother more than anything. Her grandmother's name was Themba, which meant hope, and she was the oldest elephant in the herd. Her skin was wise and wrinkled, like a map of all the years she'd lived, all the places she'd walked, all the things she'd seen. And Themba knew so many things. Tonight, Naledi walked slowly beside her grandmother. The two of them had wandered a little way from the rest of the herd, not far, just to the edge of the clearing where the earth was dusty and dry. It hadn't rained in a long time. The watering hole was smaller now, just a shallow pool that reflected the evening sky. The grasses were pale and brittle, whispering when the wind passed through them. But Themba didn't seem worried. She stood there, her great gray body perfectly still, her trunk swaying gently, as if she were listening to something Naledi couldn't quite hear. Naledi pressed close to her grandmother's side. She loved the way Themba felt, solid, warm, safe. Like the earth itself had taken the shape of an elephant and decided to stay. "Grandmother," Naledi said softly, Do you think the rain will come soon? Themba's trunk reached down and touched Naledi's forehead so gently, so tenderly. Yes, little star, Themba murmured. The rain always comes. Always. But how do you know? Naledi asked. Because, Themba said, I remember. And then she began to tell Naledi about the rain. Not in a hurry, not with big rushing words, but slowly, carefully, the way you might hold something precious in your hands. When I was young, Themba began, even younger than you are now, I didn't understand about the rain. I thought the dry season would last forever. I thought the dust and the heat and the brittle grass, I thought that was all there was. But my grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, she told me to wait. She told me to be patient. She said the world has rhythms, Naledi, like breathing, in and out, dry and wet, waiting and receiving. And one day, Themba continued, I smelled something. It was so faint at first, I wasn't sure I'd really smelled it at all, but it was there. A coolness in the air, a dampness that hadn't been there before, and I looked up, and I saw the clouds beginning to gather far away on the horizon, dark and heavy and full. Naledi's eyes widened. She could almost see it, the way her grandmother described it. The clouds piling up, one on top of another, like soft gray mountains in the sky. What happened then? Naledi whispered. Themba's eyes were distant now, seeing something from long ago. The wind picked up, Themba said. It came rushing across the savanna, cool and wild, lifting the dust into little spirals that danced and spun. The birds all flew in circles, calling to one another, excited, joyful. And then the first drop fell. Just one. It landed on my back, right here, Themba said, and she touched her own shoulder with her trunk. Cold, wet, wonderful. And then another drop, and another. And then the sky opened. Themba paused, and Naledi could hear the smile in her grandmother's voice. It poured, little star. It poured and poured and poured. The rain came down so thick, I could barely see the trees in front of me. It drummed on the ground, on the rocks, on the leaves. It filled the air with sound, a great rushing roar, like the world was singing. And I stood there, Themba said, and I let it wash over me. I lifted my trunk to the sky, and I felt the rain running down my face, my ears, my back. I felt it soak into my skin, into the dust that had covered me for so long, and I understood then what my grandmother had meant. The dry times come. They always do, but they don't last forever. Nothing lasts forever except the pattern, the waiting, and then the gift. The dust, and then the rain. Naledi pressed even closer to Themba. She could almost feel it now, the rain her grandmother was remembering. Cool and clean and full of life. Do you think? Naledi asked quietly. Do you think I'll remember this rain when it comes? The way you remember yours? Themba's trunk wrapped gently around Naledi's. Oh yes, little star, Themba said. You will, because you'll feel it with your whole heart. You'll stand in it, and you'll know that you waited, and the waiting made it sweeter. You'll know that the world keeps its promises even when it takes time. And when you're old, like me, Themba continued, and you have a grandchild of your own, you'll stand with her on a dry evening, just like this one, and you'll tell her about the rain, and she'll believe you, because you'll remember it so clearly, so truly. And that's how we carry the rain with us, Naledi, even when the sky is empty. We carry it in our memories, in our stories, in our hope. Naledi looked up at the sky. It was deepening now from soft blue to violet, to the rich, dark color of sleep. The stars were beginning to show, tiny and bright. The air was still dry, But somewhere, far away, Naledi thought she could smell it. Just a hint, just a whisper. Coolness, dampness, promise. "Thank you, grandmother," Naledi said softly. "For what, little star?" "For helping me remember something that hasn't happened yet." Themba made a low, rumbling sound deep in her chest. It was the sound elephants make when they're content, when they're at peace. "That's the best kind of memory," Themba said. "The one that helps you wait with joy." And so the two elephants stood there together, grandmother and grandchild, side by side in the quiet evening. They didn't need to say anything more. They just stood, breathing slowly, feeling the earth beneath their feet, watching the stars come out one by one, waiting for the rain, but not worried, not afraid. Because they remembered. And in the remembering, the rain was already there. Somewhere in the distance, the herd was calling softly. Time to come back now. Time to gather close. Time to rest. Naledi and Themba turned slowly, their great bodies moving with a gentle grace, and they walked back toward their family. The dust rose softly beneath their feet, glowing in the last light of day, and above them the sky grew darker and deeper and filled with stars. The first story has been told. The elephant who remembered the rain. And now, as the night settles a little deeper over the savannah, let's turn our attention to someone much smaller. Someone who's just climbing up to a high place to take the evening watch. Someone who's about to discover that even the smallest creatures can hold the biggest sky. Let's meet Kavi the meerkat. Kavi was small, even for a meerkat. He was on the smaller side. His brothers and sisters were all a little bit taller, a little bit louder, a little bit braver. At least, that's what Kavi thought. During the day, when the sun was high and bright, the whole meerkat family would tumble and play and dig and chatter. They'd take turns standing guard, watching for hawks and eagles and other things that might swoop down from the sky. And Kavi was good at watching. He had sharp eyes and a steady way of standing, and he never got distracted. But he was quiet about it. He didn't call out as loudly as the others when he spotted something. He didn't puff out his chest or stand on the very highest rock. He just watched, carefully, thoughtfully. Tonight, it was Kavi's turn to take the last watch of the evening. Most of the family had already gone down into the burrow, into the cool tunnels beneath the ground where they slept all curled together in a warm, furry pile. But someone always took the last watch, just to make sure the world was safe and quiet before everyone drifted off to sleep. And tonight, that someone was Kavi. He climbed up to the top of the termite mound, the one his family had claimed as their lookout point. It was tall and solid, baked hard by the sun, and from the top of it Kavi could see so much. The savannah stretched out in every direction, soft and silvery in the fading light. The grasses swayed gently, like waves on a quiet sea. The acacia trees stood dark against the sky, their branches reaching up like open hands. Kavi sat down. He wrapped his tail around his feet, the way meerkats do when they're settling in. And he looked out and up. The sky was changing. It had been pink and orange just a little while ago, all those warm colors that happen when the sun says goodbye. But now it was deepening. Violet, indigo, a rich, soft darkness that felt like velvet. And the stars, oh, the stars. They were coming out now, one by one, just like they did every night. But tonight, Kavi really noticed them. He'd seen stars before, of course. Every meerkat sees stars. But he'd never really stopped to look at them, to see them. Not like this. The first star appeared bright and steady, right above the horizon. Then another, off to the left. Then three more, clustered together like friends. And then more and more and more, until the whole sky was filling up with light. Tiny points of silver scattered across the darkness like seeds thrown by a gentle hand. Kavi tilted his head back. He'd never seen so many. Or maybe they'd always been there, and he'd just never taken the time to count them, to wonder about them. He thought about his brothers and sisters down in the burrow already asleep. They were warm and safe and dreaming, and he was up here, alone, with the whole sky spreading out above him. For a moment, Kavi felt very small, smaller than usual, just a tiny creature sitting on a mound of dirt beneath a sky so vast he couldn't even imagine where it ended. But then something shifted. Something changed, because as Kavi sat there watching the stars, he realized he wasn't afraid. He wasn't lonely. He was peaceful. The stars didn't make him feel small in a bad way. They made him feel part of something. Something big and beautiful and quiet. Like he was exactly where he was supposed to be, doing exactly what he was meant to do. Watching, keeping the world safe, being present. A soft breeze moved across the savanna, carrying the scent of dry grass and distant water. It ruffled Kavi's fur, just a little, and he closed his eyes for a moment and felt it. Cool, gentle, kind. When he opened his eyes again, the stars seemed even brighter. He started to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, but there were too many, far too many. So instead, he just looked. He noticed how some stars were brighter than others, how some seemed to twinkle while others burned steady and calm, how they made patterns, if you looked long enough. Shapes in the sky. Stories, maybe. Kavi wondered if the stars ever got tired, if they ever wanted to stop shining and take a rest. Or if shining was what they loved to do, what made them happy, what gave them purpose. Maybe, Kavi thought, the stars are like meerkats. They take turns watching over the world. Some shine brighter during some parts of the night, and others take over later. But they're all up there doing their job, making sure the darkness isn't too dark, making sure there's always light somewhere. Kavi liked that idea. It made him feel connected to them, somehow. Fellow watchers, fellow keepers of the quiet. Down below, somewhere in the grass, Kavi heard a soft rustling sound. His ears perked up immediately. His body went still. He watched, carefully, the way he'd been taught. A small hare hopped into view, moving slowly, peacefully. It paused, lifted its head, sniffed the air. Then it sat down, right there in the open, and began to groom its ears. Kavi relaxed. No danger, just another creature going about its evening, taking a moment to be still before sleep. The hare looked up at the sky, too. Kavi could see it, the way the hare's eyes reflected the starlight. And for just a moment, Kavi felt like he and the hare were sharing something. A quiet agreement. A recognition. We're here, we're safe. The night is beautiful. The hare finished grooming its ears, twitched its nose once, and then hopped away, disappearing into the grasses. Kavi watched it go, a small smile on his face. Well, not really a smile, because meerkats don't smile exactly the way other animals do, but a feeling inside him that was warm and soft and happy. He looked back up at the stars. They were still there, of course. Still shining, still keeping watch. Just like him. And Kavi realized something. Being small didn't mean being unimportant. Being quiet didn't mean being invisible. He was here, on his termite mound, beneath a sky full of stars, and he mattered. His watching mattered. His presence mattered. The way he kept his family safe, without needing to shout or show off or make a big fuss about it, that mattered. Kavi took a deep breath, in and out, slow and steady. The air was cool now, properly cool, the way it gets when night has fully arrived. He could hear the distant sounds of the savannah settling down, a bird's last sleepy call, the wind moving through the grass, the creak of a tree branch, stretching and relaxing, and above it all, the stars, silent, constant, watching over everything just like Kavi was watching over his family. He stayed there a little while longer, even though he knew he could go down into the burrow now if he wanted to. But he didn't want to. Not yet. He wanted to sit with the stars a bit more, to feel this feeling, this peace, this belonging, this quiet joy. A shooting star streaked across the sky, so fast Kavi almost missed it. A bright line of light there and gone in a heartbeat. Kavi gasped softly. He'd never seen one of those before. He wondered where it went. If it landed somewhere, or if it just dissolved into the darkness, its work done. He wondered if anyone else had seen it, or if it had been just for him. A gift. A little bit of magic, on a night when he needed to know that he was exactly where he should be. "Thank you," Kavi whispered, to the stars, to the shooting star, to the sky, to the world. "Thank you for letting me see this." And then, finally, when he felt ready, when he felt full up with starlight and peace, and the knowledge that he was brave in his own small way, Kavi climbed down from the termite mound. He walked slowly to the entrance of the burrow, paused at the edge, and looked back one more time. The stars were still there, still shining, still watching. "Good night, stars," Kavi whispered. "I'll see you again tomorrow." And then he slipped down into the burrow, down into the darkness, down into the warm pile of his brothers and sisters and parents and aunts and uncles. They murmured sleepily as he nestled in among them. Someone's tail draped over his back, someone's paw tucked under his chin, and Kavi closed his eyes, feeling safe and loved and deeply, deeply content. The second story has been told. The meerkat who watched the stars. And now the night is even deeper. The savannah is settling into its truest quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear your own heartbeat. The kind of quiet where the world feels soft and held and safe. And in this quiet, someone is beginning to hum. A tall someone. A gentle someone. Someone whose song will travel farther than you might imagine and touch every creature who hears it. Let's meet Zara the giraffe. Zara was the tallest giraffe in her tower. That's what a group of giraffes is called, a tower. And Zara, with her long legs and her longer neck, could see farther than anyone else. She could see the edge of the savannah where it met the sky. She could see the watering hole even from miles away. She could see the weather coming, the clouds gathering the way the light changed before rain. But tonight Zara wasn't looking outward. She was looking inward, listening inward. She stood beneath her favorite acacia tree, the one with branches that reached up almost as high as her head. The other giraffes had moved off to browse on the tender leaves of distant trees, their spotted bodies disappearing into the dusk. But Zara had stayed here, in this quiet place, with the evening wrapping around her like a soft shawl. She breathed slowly, in and out, and as she breathed, something began to rise up inside her. A sound, a feeling, a melody without words. It started low, deep in her chest, a hum. Soft at first, so soft she wasn't even sure it was really there, but then it grew just a little, not louder exactly, but fuller, richer, like honey spreading slowly across warm bread. The sound moved up through her long throat, gentle and resonant. It wasn't a song she'd learned. It wasn't something anyone had taught her. It was just there, rising up from somewhere deep inside, somewhere ancient and knowing, a lullaby. Wordless, timeless. Zara closed her eyes and let it come. The melody curved and dipped and rose again, following no pattern except the one her heart was making. It was slow, so slow, like the way evening light fades, like the way stars appear, like the way sleep arrives, gentle and inevitable. As Zara hummed, she began to sway, just slightly. Her long neck moved in a slow, graceful arc, left and then right, like a reed bending in water. Her legs, so tall and strong, held her steady, but everything else about her was fluid, soft, surrendered to the song. The acacia tree above her seemed to listen. Its leaves whispered along with her, adding their own gentle percussion. Shh, shh. The breeze picked up the sound and carried it, just a little ways out into the savannah, and something wonderful began to happen. A zebra, standing alone near the tall grass, lifted her head. She heard it, the humming, faint, but there, like a voice on the wind. She turned her ears toward it, and her breathing slowed. Her eyes, which had been watchful and alert, softened. She lowered her head, just a little, and stood very still, listening. Farther away, a warthog was digging in the dusty ground, searching for roots. He paused, sat back on his haunches, cocked his head to one side. Was that singing? He couldn't quite tell. But whatever it was, it made him feel calm, safe, like everything was going to be all right. He stopped digging and just listened. In the branches of a distant tree, a family of hornbills was settling down to roost. They'd been chattering and fussing, the way birds do when they're arranging themselves for sleep. But then, one by one, they fell quiet. They heard it too. The lullaby floating across the air, soft as moonlight. They tucked their heads beneath their wings and let the sound wrap around them. And Naledi, the young elephant, who was now curled beside her grandmother Themba, she heard it. Even from far away, even half asleep, she heard it. And she smiled in the way elephants smile, deep inside. The sound made her think of rain, of promises kept, of good things coming. And Kavi, down in his burrow, surrounded by his sleeping family, he heard it too, muffled by the earth, distant and dreamlike. But there. And it made him think of stars, of watching over the world, of how even small things matter. Zara didn't know that her lullaby was traveling so far. She wasn't trying to reach anyone. She was just singing, humming, letting the sound pour out of her the way light pours from a star. Not because she had to, but because it was there, inside her, and it needed to be shared. The melody shifted, just slightly. It grew even slower now. The spaces between the notes grew longer, like the pauses between breaths when you're almost asleep. Zara's eyes were still closed. She was seeing things behind her eyelids, colors, shapes, memories. She saw herself as a baby giraffe, all legs and awkwardness, learning to walk. She saw her mother, towering above her, patient and kind. She saw the first time she'd been tall enough to reach the highest leaves and how proud she'd felt. She saw seasons passing, rains coming and going, the savannah changing, and yet always the same. And she saw all the other creatures, the elephants and the zebras and the meerkats and the birds, the lions and the warthogs and the hares, all of them living their lives, doing their best, trying to survive and find joy and rest, all of them under the same sky, all of them part of the same great breathing world. Her lullaby was for them, for all of them, a gift, a blanket of sound to cover them as they slept, a reminder that they were not alone, that they were held and known and loved by the savannah itself. The humming grew softer now, quieter, like it was preparing to slip away, back into wherever it had come from. Zara's swaying slowed. Her neck came to rest, upright and graceful, her head lifted toward the stars that were now blazing bright above her. She opened her eyes. The world looked the same, and yet different, somehow. Softer, more tender. As if the lullaby had changed something, some small essential thing that couldn't quite be named. Zara took a deep breath. In and out. She felt lighter now, emptied, in a good way. Like she'd been carrying something, and had finally been able to set it down. She looked around, slowly, her tall frame turning with a deliberate grace. The savannah was quiet, deeply, perfectly quiet. The kind of quiet that only comes when everything is at rest, when every creature has found its place, when the day's work is done. Zara took a step forward. Her hooves made almost no sound on the soft ground. She walked slowly past the acacia tree, past a cluster of rocks, toward a small clearing where the grass was short and sweet. She would rest here tonight, not lying down, the way smaller animals do. Giraffes sleep standing up, mostly. It's safer that way, easier to run if danger comes. But that didn't mean sleep wasn't sweet. She stood in the clearing, her legs planted firmly, her body relaxed. And she closed her eyes again, just for a moment. One last time, she hummed. Just a single note. Low and warm and full. It faded into the night air. And then, silence. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called. A soft, questioning sound. Who? And then another owl answered. Who? They were talking to each other. These owls, checking in, saying goodnight in their own way. Zara listened to them, and she thought, yes, we're all here, we're all safe, we're all watched over, by each other, by the stars, by the savannah itself, which holds us all in its wide, gentle hands. She let her weight settle evenly across her legs. She let her breathing slow even more. In and out, in and out. So slow now that each breath was like a wave, rolling in and rolling out on a quiet shore. Around her, the savannah breathed too. The grasses whispered their soft secrets. The trees stood like guardians, patient and strong. The earth held everything up, solid and sure. And above it all, the sky. Dark now, truly dark. The stars scattered across it like a million promises. The moon rising, pale and serene, casting silver light across the land. Zara opened her eyes one last time. She looked up at the moon, and she thought, thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this night. Thank you for the song that came through me. Thank you for all the creatures who heard it, and felt it, and let it carry them toward sleep. And then finally, Zara let herself drift. Not into full sleep, not yet, but into that soft, hazy place between waking and dreaming. Where the world is still there but distant, where you're still aware but only just, where everything feels safe and soft and impossibly gentle. Her lullaby had done its work. It had traveled across the savannah, touching every creature who needed it, and now it was fading, dissolving into the night, becoming part of the air, part of the earth, part of the great quiet that covered everything. The third story has been told, the giraffe who hummed a lullaby. And now all three tales have been shared. The elephant, who remembered the rain, the meerkat, who watched the stars, the giraffe who sang the world to sleep. 3 animals, 3 moments of grace, 3 gentle gifts offered in the quiet of evening. And now, as the night settles fully over the savannah, as every creature finds its rest, as the stars burn bright and the moon climbs higher, it's time for us to say goodnight too. The savannah is sleeping now. If you listen very carefully, you can hear it. Not silence exactly, because the world is never truly silent, but a different kind of sound. The sound of rest. The grasses have stopped their whispering. They stand perfectly still, bathed in moonlight, each blade silver and soft. The trees have settled into themselves, their branches no longer creaking or swaying, just being, holding their place in the earth, patient and kind. The watering hole reflects the sky like a mirror, stars above and stars below, as if the heavens had folded down to meet the earth, just for tonight. Somewhere, in the cool tunnels beneath the ground, Kavi is dreaming. He's dreaming of stars, of standing on his termite mound with the whole sky spread out above him, of feeling small and brave and exactly where he belongs. His little paws twitch slightly as he dreams, and his family shifts around him, keeping him warm. And Naledi, sweet Naledi, the young elephant, she's dreaming too. She's dreaming of rain, of cool drops falling from the sky, one by one, and then all together. Of standing with her grandmother, Themba, feeling the water wash over her. Of knowing deep in her bones that good things come to those who wait. Themba's trunk is draped gently over Naledi's back, even in sleep, protecting, loving, remembering. And Zara, the tall giraffe, standing in her clearing, she's drifting in that soft place between waking and dreaming. The place where the lullaby still echoes, faint and far away, where she can still feel the melody moving through her, gentle as breath. Her eyes are closed, but she's smiling in her way, knowing that her song reached the ones who needed it, knowing that she gave something beautiful to the world tonight. All across the savannah, creatures are at rest. The zebras, standing close together, their stripes blending into patterns of shadow and light. The lions, curled in a golden heap, their breathing slow and synchronized. The warthogs, tucked into their burrows, snoring softly. The birds, heads beneath wings, swaying gently on their branches. Even the insects have quieted. The cricket's song has faded to just a whisper now, a soft background hum, like the earth itself breathing. The moon moves slowly across the sky, casting its gentle light. It doesn't hurry. It has all night. It will be there watching, keeping vigil until the sun returns. And the stars, oh, the stars, they're still burning, still shining, keeping their promise to light the darkness, to remind us every night that even in the deepest dark there is light, there is beauty, there is something watching over us. Tonight we walk together through 3 stories, 3 small journeys, 3 quiet moments of wonder. We learned about memory and patience and trust. We learned that the hard times don't last forever, that the rain always comes, even when the sky seems empty. That hope is something we can carry inside us, like a seed waiting to bloom. We learned about courage and peace and belonging. We learned that being small doesn't mean being unimportant, that watching over the world is a sacred task, even if no one else sees you doing it, that the stars shine for everyone, including us. We learned about connection and generosity and love. We learned that a single song can travel farther than we imagine, that the gifts we give don't have to be big or loud to matter, that sometimes the gentlest offering is the most powerful one. These are the lessons of the savannah, the lessons that come when we slow down, when we listen, when we let ourselves be still enough to hear the world's quiet wisdom. And now, it's time for you to rest too. Time to let the stories settle into your heart. Time to close your eyes and breathe slowly and feel the softness all around you. Imagine yourself there on the savannah, the warm earth beneath you, the cool night air on your skin, the stars above, watching over you with their ancient, gentle light. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you belong. Let your breathing slow in and out, in and out. Let your body grow heavy, sinking into comfort. Let your thoughts drift, like clouds moving slowly across a peaceful sky. The elephant remembers the rain, and so do you. The meerkat watches the stars, and so do you. The giraffe hums her lullaby, and you can hear it still, soft and far away. All is well on the savannah tonight. All is well in the world. All is well with you. Rest now. Let the stories carry you into sleep. Let the savannah wrap around you like the softest blanket. Let the night hold you, tender and true. Good night, little one. Good night, dear friend. Good night. The stars are shining. The moon is watching. The world is at peace. And so are you. Good night.